that's what I told her.
Welcome in the name of Jesus. We are gathered to worship, to proclaim Christ crucified and risen, to remember before God Zach, to give thanks for his life, to commend him to our merciful God, and to comfort one another in our grief. All who are baptized into Christ have put on Christ. In his baptism, Zach was clothed with Christ, and in the day of Christ's coming, he shall be clothed with glory. Let us pray. Gracious God, source of all mercy and giver of comfort, graciously be with all who mourn, that casting all their sorrow on you, they may know the peace of your love. Through your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. We'll have a time for family reflections.
So I think everybody pretty much knows who I am. I'm Zackery's father. I'm going to try to get through this the best I can. On behalf of Zackery's entire family, we'd like to thank everyone for the outpouring of love and support everyone has shown us over the last several days. It's difficult to explain the grief and sorrow we are all feeling for the loss of Zackery. He was a good son, brother, husband, cousin, and friend to so many people. Zach was my firstborn. You can't imagine the pride I had as a father when he was born. The first time I held him was one of the best days of my life. I thought, how could Wendy and I be so blessed to have something so beautiful? But yet I was scared. Inside I wondered if I would be a good father. Once again I find myself scared because I'm scared. I'm scared because I don't know how I can move forward without him. In my eyes, as a father, Zackery has never had an easy road to follow. His life was always filled with struggles. But my son always found a way to overcome those struggles and be a better person because of them. When he was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma in 21, it was devastating news for all of us. Yes, we cried. We cried many times over the last 4 years, always praying and hoping for a miracle. Zackery just kept on pushing forward. Many times, things knocked him down harder than any of us can imagine. But he would always keep pushing forward one day at a time. It seemed like every positive thing that happened during his battle, he would take a step back. But after every treatment or surgery, Zach was adamant about getting back to living life. That meant getting back on his Harley, traveling to the Cabinegro River, going on trips, and yes, getting back to work. He carried his work phone with him everywhere, just in case someone from work needed something. That's how important it was to him. As a father, I always believed it is my responsibility to keep my children safe. One night, Zach called me into his bedroom that he shared with Weston. He told me there were monsters under the bed. I got down on the floor, yelled at those monsters, and told them to get out from under the bed and not come back. He then said there were also monsters in a closet. I opened the closet door, told them to get out, followed them to the door, and told them never to come back. Both boys smiled at me because they knew everything was good now and they could sleep. My entire life, I've worked to keep my family safe. When you have children, you would do anything to keep them safe, but sometimes you can't take all the monsters away. Best you can do is support them, be there for them, pray. I would gladly trade places with them to take away any pain, but this time I could not chase the monsters away no matter how much I prayed. Zackery enjoyed spending time with family and friends, from bowling on Monday, Thursday, and Friday night leagues, going to state bowling tournament every year, sitting in a turkey blind with me or with Weston and laughing at all the snacks I would bring with. He also enjoyed deer hunting at his aunt and uncle's farm, along with fishing and enjoying the cabin in Eagle River, the place that so many memories were made. The annual men's card night was also one of his favorite things to be part of. It was always a night of family fun, laughter, and talking smart. He loved riding his Harley. He was also willing to help his father-in-law work on his Harley. I think when Zackery was riding his motorcycle, it gave him a sense of freedom. The ability to just enjoy the ride, the wind rushing past his face, and forget about all the struggles and burdens he was carrying with him. It was his escape. Many of us can relate to this. We all have that special thing we like to do that helps us escape from life's struggles. Zach was introduced to hunting at a young age. I think he was maybe 4 at the time. It was before Weston was born. I needed to get out to fix my tree stand at his aunt and uncle's farm. There was over a foot of snow and some huge drifts. We could not drive out to the stand. I got him all bundled up in snow pants, boots, and hat and gloves. Put him on a toboggan, put him in the truck first, I should say. Then we put him on a toboggan when we got out to the farm, along with some boards, a handsaw, and a few tools in my backpack. I pulled him until we got to the tractor path that was going downhill. We rode that path downhill. Then I walked to the next hill, pulled him up the path, and through the woods to the deer stand. On the way out, we rode the sled down the hill, the tractor path, and pulled him back up the next hill, back to the truck. Yes, it was uphill both ways, just like he used to always tell me. The walk out to the tree stand was good, a good half a mile, but Zackery thought it was great. He had a good time. There's been many wonderful things said and stories about Zach I've seen and heard from family and friends over the last several days. I'd love to share them all, but I will share a few from family. His sister Leanne was reminding us of a tea party he had with his young cousins Annalise and Arabella. I believe there's a picture of him in a funny hat and glasses, sitting at a table with them. She also said he was a fighter, always strong, positive through it all. I have no words to describe how much I will miss you. I love you, my brother. Zach and his brother Weston did everything together. Even though there was a 4-year gap, they hung out all the time, from bowling, playing football, riding bikes, hunting, going to Packer and Brewer games. They did have their disagreements. Wendy and I were talking a few days ago, and she reminded me how Zach would chase after Weston when he was mad. A couple times he actually stubbed his toe and broke it while chasing him in the house. One time she was talking about he'd actually dislocated his toe. She was telling me how brave he was when he went to the doctor because they had given him a shot in the toe to numb it up so he could put it back in joint. His cousin Joey shared memories of them together at our house playing Legos, N64 and PlayStation, trips up north, and making Zackery daiquiris. I'm not sure what those are, but I want to find out. Joey also remembers the long nights sitting around a fire until the embers went out. And he said, I'll never forget the countless board and card games where Zach's sense of humor and love of life always shined through. Joey went on to say what cancer could not take was his spirit. His ability to light up the room, to make people laugh, and bring people together. That spirit will live on in the memories we share, the stories we will keep telling, and in a love that will never fade. His cousin Marissa said, our hearts are shattered, another beautiful soul gone way too soon. Cancer is a monster and it stole someone incredibly loved. Zach fought with everything he had, showing strength I can't put into words. But even the strongest battle couldn't keep him here. Doesn't feel fair, and it never will. I'll carry all of those memories we had growing up, but the world feels dimmer without him. Rest peacefully, my cousin. You deserve much more. My brother Jeremy reminded me of something Wendy and I forgot about. He remembered babysitting for Zackery when he was very young. He remembered a purple teddy bear that Zach had. And he had to have it, otherwise he could not fall asleep. That was a good memory to bring back because that purple teddy bear meant so much to him that we could not take it away from him, so Wendy bought another one. So he had 2. So that we wanted to clean it, we could at least give him the other teddy bear, otherwise he would not fall asleep. On that teddy bear, and everybody's probably seen, they did these silky tags on those bears, right? He would rub that between his fingers, and all the letters wore off on that. It was just, I don't know why he did that. I don't know if that was just something for comfort for him, but he would rub that all the time. About a week before he lost Zach, he looked at his mom and asked her, "What's happening?" When he told him, cancer is like a poison and you're not going to make it. Thursday night, Randy and I were watching and listening to Zach breathe, and it changed. We had a sense that it was close. I went by his side and held his hand and told him how proud I am of him and that he was a good son. I told him I loved him and that he had people who loved him waiting for him. I put my hands on his face and kissed his forehead. Megan came upstairs and we told her his breathing had changed. She sat beside him and kissed him. She held his face and told him it was okay to go. He took 2 more breaths. A tear rolled onto Megan's hand and he was gone, surrounded by his family. When he arrived in heaven, I can see my brothers, Craig, Matt with one of his big hugs, my sister Holly and Lisa, along with Grandma Sharon, Grandpa Laverne, and his great-grandpa Kermit, and all the other relatives waiting for him and welcoming him home. When I was younger, my mother and grandmother would tell me to not be afraid of thunder, because that was past loved ones getting a strike when bowling. I can see his Uncle Craig, his Uncle Matt, his great-grandfather Kermit, telling him they're glad to see him because now they have a 4-man bowling team. Are we listening for those strikes, Zach? I would just like to read, this is actually some song lyrics. I know the road you walked was anything but easy. You picked up your share of scars along the way, but now you are standing in the sun. You fought your fight, and your race is run. The pain is now a million miles away. There is not a day goes by that I don't see you. You live on in the better parts of me. Until I'm standing with you in the sun, I'll fight this fight, in this race I'll run, until I can finally see what you can see. There is a wound here in my heart where something's missing. I know you're in a place where all your wounds have been erased, and knowing yours are healed is healing me. The only scars in heaven won't belong to you and me. There's no such thing as broken. All the old will be made new. The thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are in the hands that hold you now. Zackery, you'll always be my hero. The strength you showed throughout your life was remarkable. I'll do my best to be strong and make you proud. I love you, my son. Goodbye, my son. And I promise I will see you again. Jen?
Sorry, I thought it was going to be a little easier. When I think about Zach, I don't think about just his illness or the struggles that he faced. I think about all the laughter, the adventures, and the moments that showed us who he truly was. Zackery had a spirit that couldn't be broken. Through the hardest years, when many people would have given up or just focused on the effects of the cancer, Zach chose something different. He chose to live. He chose strength. He chose humor, and he chose love. He showed us all what it means to face life head on, without self-pity, with courage that left everyone that knew him in awe. I have so many memories of Zach that go way back. A lot of them started when I would babysit him in Weston. Those two boys have always held a very extra special place in my heart. I can't tell you how many times I spent all or almost all of my babysitting money on them. Like the time they convinced me to buy supplies so they could have a soda and juice stand, and of course, they kept all the profits. Even back then, Zach knew how to pull on my heartstrings. It's funny to think back to those days when I used to be taller than Zach. I always felt protective of him in Weston. I remember one of those times on many of our walks to Washington Park, and somehow they always managed to talk me into buying them candy at the concession stand. But one of those days really showed me how much I cared for him. Some kids were picking on Zach, and Weston was there, and I didn't take it very lightly at all. I was the only one that could pick on him. I had the boys start walking home, and I grabbed the baseball bat. And I went right back and reminded those kids it was never wise to pick on someone, because there was always someone bigger to stand up for them. Another memory that I hold closest is the week he came home from the rehab hospital. I was blessed to spend that day with him, and I will always be thankful for that time. When life feels very heavy, I go back to that day in my mind, and I get so many great memories. Now, anyone that knows me knows I can talk all day long. But Zach didn't inherit that family trait at all. That day, between naps and making Zach talk to me, I learned a lot of new things. I learned about Weston's new house, and even that Weston had a girlfriend that he was hiding from our big crazy family. Zach looked at me and he made it really clear that I was the crazy family he was talking about. In that moment, his laugh was priceless. I took full advantage of that time with him. He couldn't run away from me. He had to talk to me and had a lot of laughs. It was great seeing him smile. But my favorite memory came that day and our moment at lunch. I was sitting with him at the kitchen table when my mom called. As usual, I answered my phone and said, "Yes, Mom." And out of nowhere, Zackery started shouting, "Help me, help me, help me." And my phone didn't get good reception there and dropped the call as soon as he screamed back. Anybody that knows my mom knows little things set her off. She smells smoke all the time. So I, in my mind, imagined her calling 911. So I hustled outside, panicking, thinking my mom would think something happened. I came back inside. Zach was sitting there grinning ear to ear, laughing at his own prank. That was our relationship. Having fun, picking on each other, smacking his butt, telling him that he had a nice Umland booty. When he did smile, it was pure gold. It would light up a room. And those are moments that I will forever hold in my heart. And that's how I want us all to remember him. Not for the cancer days, but for the incredible things that made Zach who he was. Let's remember the roar of his motorcycle, his love for hunting and the outdoors, The comfort of his dogs by his side, the peaceful trips up at the cottage, or the not so peaceful trips up to the cottage by the bonfire with his buddies. Let's remember the way he loved his family, even the crazy ones like me. His competitive side when it came to bowling, and his love for the Green Bay Packers. These weren't just hobbies, these were pieces of Zach's life that made Zach light up and made him who he was. Zach's story is not one of loss, but of love and strength. He lived, he loved deeply, and he left us all with memories that will never fade. Today we don't just grieve, we honor an amazing young man who left his mark on each and every one of us in this room. And if Zach could tell us one last thing, I believe it would be this. Don't carry me forward with sorrow. Carry me with laughter, with love, with strength, and with the joy of a life well lived. Because that was Zach. And that's how I hope all of you remember him. Thank you.
Now, I wrote this, so bear with me. But I can't compete between Scott and Jenny. I mean, they said it all. Okay? I was a father-in-law. I loved the man. He was like a son to me. We've been together for 15 years. We've done a lot. We rode a lot. We laughed a lot. And he directed me a lot when we were riding bikes. He called me Grandpa because I could never keep up with him. So actually, I got a bigger bike. Fortunately, we weren't able to ride together with it. But, like I say, he is in heaven right now riding high on the golden bricks. There's no speed bumps, there's no potholes, nothing in his way. He's feeling the wind and going. And I had said earlier too that my ride for the bike, I kind of sad because I haven't rode much this year, but someone said, do it in memory of him. Ride for him. But it's hard to do because Zach would get all the places together and he'd put it together and he'd call me and say, let's go. One day he called me on a Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. He said, we're going for a ride. Where are we going? I ain't telling you. So we get on the bikes, we rode to Dubuque, Iowa. Catfish Charlie's by the Mississippi there. And he said, I knew you'd like it. I said, we come all this way? He said, yeah, you like catfish. We had our dinner, had our moment. We sat there for maybe an hour and a half and talked and stuff. And he said, okay, we're going, but we're not going the same way home. We didn't go the same way home. We never went the same way home. We went one way, we come another way home. You never want to see the same direction twice. But anyway, that's for me, okay? I love him, I miss him. And one day we'll be together again upstairs, okay? And there's no more pain, no more sorrow, and he will want us to trudge forward and don't look back on what he endured. He want to take it, build our strength, and go. I was telling somebody earlier, when he had 7 days of chemo, he never gave up. His attitude was the same as if he wasn't doing chemo. He was very, very strong. And I just, like I say, I'm sorry to dwell on this, but this was a great guy, great husband, great son, great cousin to many out here, friends. So thank you all for coming today, okay? He's looking down on us going, wow, I had this many friends, but he did. Like Jenny said, he didn't smile much, but when he smiled, you took it and ran with it. Like my wife said the other day, when he smiled, we took a picture. We don't know when we're going to see the next one. So, and we do have many pictures, and my daughter, when she first introduced him to me, she said, for one thing, don't scare him away. And I loved him because he had a job and a car and license. My daughter didn't have to pay his way. But anyway, yeah, so when I first met him, she said, listen, he's not like you, okay? He's not a chitter chatter box pretty much, she said. In some certain way she said it. But she said he's very quiet. And I thought, oh boy, here we go. So I ain't gonna lie to you, I wanna say this. We were in our conversation sitting there, and his middle name is Kermit, and I said Ribbit. He looked at me and he said, like I ain't heard that before. And I said, Zach, I'm sorry, I don't know what come over me, but I apologize to him. But anyway, so let me get on with this, please. So we love you, Zach. We always will. Okay. Not much for this, but I said we are mourning loss of a great son, like I said, and this Zach was truly great guy and very humble. He never asked anything in return. If he gave you something or did something for you, he wanted nothing in return. Just like Scott said, he was a mechanic on my bike. He would sit at home and he would look up YouTube, and I wanted stuff, this done. He goes, yeah. So he'd look at YouTube and he'd fix it. Like one time I come back from Missouri and he had my trike apart. He was putting on underglow lights. And he wanted to surprise me. That was the biggest joy for him. As I pulled in the driveway, he raised the garage door. And there sat my bike. It looked like a skeleton, but he took my body off the bike. But when Zach did a job, he did it right. He didn't do it halfway. It was all the way or nothing. So, if he's going to do it, he never left it unfinished. He completed it. And he felt great, felt really good inside for him to do stuff for people. But like I said, he never asked for nothing in return. I offered to pay him. I did pay him a couple of times. He didn't want to take it, but I felt obligated to give it to him. So, and one thing I hope I gave to him due to 15 years of knowing this young man was my great friendship, and I hope I was a great father-in-law to him. I tried to be. We did a lot of things together. We rode many miles on the bike. Countless. So anyway, let me please read this. I said, from the first time I met Zackery, I liked the young man. My daughter Megan, like I said, introduced us, but before the introduction, she made me try not to scare him off. Because I was big and oafy, I guess. And I said, okay. And I said, I immediately knew he was a keeper. And the reason why, like I said, he had a job, a car, and a license, and drove. Okay. I love my daughter, and she fell in love with him. They cherished many moments together, and we'll still carry them with us today. So, God bless you, honey. I love you. Okay. And, okay. So, let me see here. But through the 15 years of knowing him, he turned out to be an awesome guy and a wonderful sense of humor. It wasn't many times, but when he did, it was there. Like Jenny said, it was there. He'd make a crack and you kind of giggle at it and go with it. Zach had a grin that wasn't big at times, but when it was catchy. When he gave that little grin, I took up to it. And sometimes he'd look at me and he'd go, something, and I go, what? Almost like a father figure to me, and things he would say to me. But I'm from Missouri, like I said, so I'm from in the woods, And he took that and ran with it. I would like to think we shared a lot of great times and memories. We have put many miles on our cycles. I remember several of the rides, but one, like I told you, we rode, in 2.5 days, we rode over 600 miles. And that was a ride. I never want to see my bike for 2 weeks after that, and he laughed at me. He goes, well, what's wrong? Is it going up? Yeah, well, so he rode his bike, but this kid didn't raise the garage door. So, anyway, so it was rough. I didn't want to look at my bike for a while. When I told Zach that, he gave me a grin and chuckle. My biggest proud moment when he asked me to have our daughter's hand in marriage, my wife Barbara and I. So I asked him to repeat it. Zach, he wasn't repeating it. And we were in his Ram pickup. He wanted to go look at video games on a Sunday. He called me and said, hey, let's go look at video games. I said, I don't do video games. I do Atari and Nintendo. I'm an old guy, Not no PCS, whatever they're called. So anyway, he said, let's go for a ride. So we get in the truck, 20 minutes in a ride. He looks over at me and he says, hey, you drive? He said, I'd like to have your daughter's hand in marriage if I could. I go, what'd you say? He said, I'm not repeating it. And he didn't. So off we went. We went to Brookfield Mall, to Zales, We looked at rings for 3 hours. He's like, what do you think? What do you think? I'm not wearing it. But finally, 3 hours later or so, he found a perfect ring to give my daughter. And another story behind it. He told me to make another promise. I said, what's that? You can't tell the wife. My wife didn't know for 4 months. Yeah. I didn't know until we got the Daytona. She didn't know until we got the Daytona Bike Week. We went to Daytona Bike Week a couple years ago. And he said, you can't tell Barb. I'm like, what? So I didn't tell Barb. I had really no hankering to tell her. But one day she's sitting across in her recliner. She looks over and she said, oh, wouldn't that be nice? She said, if Zach were, I don't know exact word, but she said, propose to Megan. I said, that's never going to happen. Well, she took it and I had the straightest face, she said. She never thought no more about it. So we get to Daytona, second day we're there. He found the perfect spot. We went to one beach, it was crappy. He said, nope. So we packed up, moved on to the next one. He set up his GoPro. He's a gadget guy, as you guys know. He likes his cameras and stuff. So he set this up and, you know, he grabbed my daughter, turned her around. As he got going down, my wife said, what's he doing? What's he doing? I said, shut up and watch. So anyway, I said, during that conversation too, I said, I knew about it for 4 months. What? But I kept the secret, and I think he was proud of me because he didn't think I could do it. But I did. But anyway, let me go on here. I know you guys want to go. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Zach Wooden. Okay. Oh, anyway, we proceeded to the mall for about 3 hours. I could say that I can. So. Anyway, I had to keep the secret from the wife. Anyway, proposal happened at Daytona Bike Week. Zach was happy and excited to get this off his chest. He come up to me a little later, he goes, whew. He said, that was the worst 4 months of my life. I said, mine too. He goes, I know I'm proud of you. He put his hand on my shoulder and patted me like this. He said, you didn't tell Barb. No, I didn't. I kept it a secret. And I think he was very proud of me for that. The moment was captured with a 360 GoPro, and he loved his gadgets. Happened the second day. But I'm almost done. But when I was looking for memorials for Zach, I wanted something special. You know, because I want to just do something special on my bike in remembrance of him, carry him with me. But it says some people, as you see in the obituary, some people walk into heaven, others ride. Zach rode into heaven on his bike. You know what? I'm not very religious. I believe in the Lord, but God opened up them gates and said, come on in. Like you say, Matt was waiting, Craig, you know, and they were all waiting for him. And you talk about the bowling, that's how I hear, oh, gotta go bowling, gotta go bowling. Hey, well, good for you, but that was his passion. He loved to bowl. I don't know if he ever got a 300, but I know Weston did. I think he was kind of mad at Weston getting 300. Because he told me, he goes, yeah, Weston got another 300. I can get maybe a 3 on that score. But, you know. So, but anyway, let me go on here and hurry up here. Okay. We went to Jamaica. We had the best 5 days of our life, and the second day there,